everybody. Welcome to BrandKramp. We've all had them. Bad bosses that suck the life out of you and your coworkers. Their ego, their hidden agendas, backstabbing, and inability to communicate. It makes me sick to my stomach just thinking about it. You and your coworkers get outside of the office, and all you do is complain about your job and the company you work for to anyone who will listen. And we all know people like that in our life. What impression are you leaving about the company you work for when you do that? Yep, that's a big old brand cramp and the topic of today's podcast, when the fish stinks at the head and what you can do about it. So I wanted to welcome everybody and especially our guest today, Michelle Markowitz, Michelle with one L. But before we start, I just want to let everybody know how you and I met. So this is going to be fun, a little trip down memory lane.
Many years ago, Aileen.
Exactly. So it was the early 2000s. Michelle was recruited from the Orange County Register to work in the advertising department at the Hartford Courant. When she landed back in Connecticut with her family, the general manager of the Courant at the time had a different plan for her. He wanted her to work in the circulation department, which is where she eventually landed. And for folks who aren't familiar with the newspapers, the circulation department is like to outsiders was considered like the hellhole of the organization. We were like the stepchild who no one wanted us to be included. The editorial staff looked down on us, everything. But the irony of it all is that we were the ones who were responsible really for delivering the value to advertisers, because we grew the circulation and we, managed profitability and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of fun. And I loved being in the circulation department. At the time that you joined the Courant, I was the marketing and sales manager in the circulation department, and you showed up full of ideas and energy. And I was hooked from day one. And I was so excited to be working with you. But if you recall, within like 6 months of you showing up, the evil marketing director wanted my position in her department, so she stole me.
Yes. I do remember that.
And it was a horrible leader and a horrible situation for me. And for like a year and a half or 2 years, I begged you to bring me back to telemarketing, or not to telemarketing, to the circulation department. And what you did was you brought me back and you had me lead the outbound telemarketing department, which if it was anyone other than you, I would have never done it. But we did it, and through your process, we were able to not only engage and empower the folks in the telemarketing department, we sort of changed the whole dynamic in circulation in the sales side, and we delighted our customers. And we had a outbound telemarketing department, the most annoying kind of marketing you can do. The folks that we talked to on the phone would actually write the reps thank you notes. Thank you for selling me the Hartford Courant. And it was really kind of an amazing process. One of your strengths is, your main strength is organizational development, but really the gift that you have is your ability to assess someone's strength and put them in a power of sort of wild success. And that, is a really nice segue to our topic today, because you've done it. Organizational development, culture, assessing employee engagement, strengths, and putting people in a position to succeed. So welcome, Michelle. That's my little love story.
Thank you. I love it.
So
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey since the
my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So well, I'm currently actually all about culture. So I'm in my dream job. It took me 30 years to get there, but here I am, working at Floyd Coaching. Actually, we're changing the name to Floyd Coaching, because I work with CEOs or owners of companies that really want to build a dynamic culture in their organization. And we use very similar principles to what I used 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And that sort of became my superpower when I was working in the newspaper industry, because no one really talked about organizational development they talk a little bit about culture, but it wasn't anyone's responsibility, I guess is what I want to say. Um, and that's sort of where the term "the fish stinks at the
Yeah.
head" came from, because I would have, higher, leaders, more senior leaders, they'd come down and ask me, like, why are you so successful? Like, what are you doing? I don't know what you're doing. Like it was some kind of magic that was happening there, but it really truly was organizational development process, right? Focused on mission, focused on expectations for my employees. All they wanted to know was what was expected of them. And then, because people want to do a great job at what they do, right? They're spending 8 hours of their day with you, 5 days a week. So anyway, yeah. So that whole process really became sort of, I'll say, my superpower, like I said, that I was able to use wherever I went. I worked for 8 different newspaper organizations. I worked in advertising, circulation. So I just used that everywhere I went. And to your point, finding those people, I'd find little gems all over the place, and just finding out what they were really good at or what they were passionate about and putting them in the right position just started to ignite the culture in and of itself. I mean, all by itself. It was amazing. And then get them focused on the mission and what's expected of them, measures of success, and really focused on those things, and eventually just became successful. So
Yeah.
now I'm in a position, so fast forward, working at Floyd, now I get to do it, with companies in more of I'll call it a fractional way, right? As their coach. So I work with them, coaching them through the process. We do training, and then we have a Dream Manager program that brings the coaching down to the front line level for employees. So that's what I'm
Absolutely.
doing. That's what I'm doing
Yeah.
now.
And you love it. You could
I
tell.
love it. I love it. Yeah. I could talk about culture all day long,
Yes.
because it's one of those things that it's really hard to measure. I feel like you can feel it before you can measure it.
Oh,
You
100%.
feel it when you go into a
100%.
company. And to your point, when people talk badly about their company, like what's going on, it's poor leadership.
Sure. Well, the fish thinks at the head.
The
Exactly.
fish thinks at the head.
And,
They're
you know,
disconnected.
right. And, we've thrown, a couple of topics out there related to culture. Sort of an example that I have in my memory bank are, when you call a company because you have a problem and the rep doesn't help you, or they have an attitude, or it go and tell you that you're wrong. That is your brand. And what that tells me now when I get off the phone is that the leadership in that organization is not good. Because if you had good leadership, there's no way in hell you would have a rep on the phone talking to a customer in a way that wasn't anything other than pleasant. And, that was one of the things, having worked in circulation departments with, the call center. Our goal was to delight our customers. That was a
Yeah.
goal, delight your customers. And we
Right.
had goodie bags that we could send to our customers if they weren't happy,
Yep.
and we would get notes from customers saying, thank you. Although you didn't fix my issue, thank you for listening to me
Yep.
and for acknowledging that I'm right and doing your best to fix it. And that was such a great experience for me. And that to me is the impact of culture on your brand. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, so you just reminded me, that was one of my favorite mission statements. That team of people,
yeah.
that call center
Yep.
in Hartford, that team of people came up with one of the best mission statements for a call center ever.
Yes.
And I still use it today when I'm working with other clients. It was turning transactions into relationships.
Yes. Yep.
And they built that together. And then they built the values underneath that, and they lived them.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And it was their leader, Miss
Correct.
Claudette,
Yep.
who actually really made that group what it
Yes.
was.
It even translated to the telemarketing department, because once we went to the 100% prepaid orders, we empowered the reps to send letters to customers who said no over the phone. And I just
Yes.
remember we had one rep who was like, Aileen, everyone I talk to, I'm gonna sell and I'm gonna write everybody a note. So if he sold, he sent a thank you note. And if he didn't sell, he said, hi, my name is Reggie. I know you weren't ready when I talked to you on the phone, but I'm enclosing a postage paid business reply envelope for when you're ready. And he had one of the best conversion rates ever.
I'm
And,
sure.
it's that whole delight kind of concept and turning transactions. It wasn't a transaction, it was a relationship. And we allowed the outbound reps to receive inbound calls from customers if they were service related. So that was another really cool experience for me. On the topic of culture, from your perspective, what are the top 3 signs that your culture needs improvement? And I think we touched on a couple of them, but,
Yeah, you just
you
named
know
one for
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
that is, if you're calling into the company, what level of service are you getting? You can obviously tell. I mean, I just went to the doctor's office the other day, and everybody there, you could tell was happy.
Oh, that's
And I
awesome.
and I said to the one person that was helping me, I said, wow, I go, it seems like everybody's so happy here. The music, I hear music playing. She goes, this is such a great place to work. They really care about us.
Oh, there you go. That is not a brand cramp.
So I could flip that around and say that, I go to the store, actually, it's a bakery. It's a French bakery that I love because the food is delicious. But whenever I recommend it, I say their service is terrible,
Yeah.
but I go because of the quiche.
Right, right.
But literally, I ordered something to go. She did not look at me. She slammed it down on the table. And I was like, wow, must not like her job very much
Right,
or the
right.
place. So they were very busy, or I would have said, geez, how you doing? How's your day going? But it was not once, but it's been every time that I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I don't go and sit anymore. I just order out
Yeah.
because the service is so terrible.
Right, right.
Right. But I
Right.
literally say that to people, like, you want really good, quiche or whatever, you can go there, but I'm just going to warn you that their service is terrible.
Yeah. That's incredible. Okay, so one of the clues is your employee and their interaction with customers. What are some other indications?
The other,
Especially
yeah,
for, for management or leadership who is not on the front lines or who is not connected with a really good frontline leader who's not
yeah,
communicating those types of things. So what
yeah.
are some other things?
Well, some other indicators, which are,
Yeah.
I'll call them more high level, is the level of engagement of your employees. I mean, it seems like a lot of people are doing employee engagement surveys today, but they need to keep a finger on the pulse with that, because that's where you're going to find the underlying issues. Usually it's a lack of communication. Usually it's, again, the managers not providing the level of expectations for their people, and people just don't feel like they care about them. They don't feel that the company cares about them.
Right.
And especially in this new generation of people, they want a purpose connected to their work. They want to know that you do care about them. So it's a totally different work environment today.
Yeah.
So you need to really pay attention to that,
Right.
and the feedback that you will receive from an employee
Right.
engagement survey, which I want to do a plug for Gallup.com.
Yeah.
They have an awesome, it's Q12 is what it's called, Q12 employee engagement um, survey. It's only 12 questions, but they're the most important questions to ask your employees. So if you just did that, just to get the feedback from people. But usually if it's a bad culture, you have low employee engagement,
Yeah. Okay.
to
Which
answer your
is sort of the
question.
segue to our next topic. How can leadership do an assessment of their culture and how often should it be done?
Yeah, I'd say once a year is enough
Hmm.
if you do it right.
Okay.
So the biggest, so that's a culture assessment, the one I just talked about, Q12, but you need to make sure that you follow up from that survey. You need to tell them what the results were. Everyone needs to know what the results were and then what you're doing about it. Or sometimes it's just educating people, like some people, I'm going to use this as a crazy example, but let's say in the employee survey, something came up about the office location, right? I wish we were by the beach. I wish we had an office by the beach, and then at lunchtime I could go take a walk on the beach. Well, you need to address it. Don't ignore it, right? So that's my big thing with people when I coach owners and higher level people. You have to address it in saying, you know what, we have a 25-year lease. So it doesn't make sense for us to do this right now. We're spending money on these things. So to move the office wouldn't make sense for us right now. Right. But not avoiding the feedback. And I find that some companies do that, right? They jump on the ones that are wrong and they ignore some of these other things that are coming up. You've got to answer every one of them. Don't ignore any of them. You have to say something about all the different levels of feedback. So that's a biggie, I think. The other one that someone just did, one of our clients did a stay interview.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So meet with people that are staying at your organization and ask them why.
Huh.
Like, why are you staying here? So it's the reverse, right? Most companies, they do exit interviews.
Right.
It's too late.
And what happens if someone's reason for staying is the paycheck and the paycheck only?
Usually it's not. It's
Okay.
one of the reasons for sure, right? I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
but very rarely is it what they talk about first. They talk about benefits. They talk about the hours that they're working. This is where you're going to get great leadership feedback. You say, I love Michelle. I love working for Michelle. I would never leave because I want to, be happy every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sort of thing. So that's where you'll get that kind of feedback from the stay interviews for sure.
And then
And then
what are your clients doing with the stay interviews?
so they're looking at what are those things that we're doing right?
Huh. Okay.
And then what else can we do?
Right.
Right. So in that example, it was someone had come to get certified as a dream manager. So they brought the dream manager program into their organization. It was a big call center. And they ended up becoming best places to work. And
Oh, wow.
they thought they're giving credit to the dream manager program, among other things, I'm sure, but dream manager program. And they were able to also ask it as part of the stay interview that came up. 55% of the employees noted the dream manager as the reason why they were staying.
That is awesome. And, one of the things that I wanted to talk about were, tools that an organization can put into place to improve culture. And, let's talk about the Dream Manager program because the concept of that and the concept of it is really awesome.
It's
And
so simple.
and I know that there's a book that can be read and we can talk about that, but let's just talk about that. So, give our listeners the background on that program and what it does because I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. So I'm going to first say this, though. The Dream Manager program doesn't fix the culture. You cannot put the Dream Manager program into an organization that is toxic. This is for companies that already have a pretty good culture. They want to bring it up to the next level because this program really is designed to bring out the best in your people, right? By giving them basically a life coaching program to talk about their dreams personally and professionally. So they have someone that they can work with to hold them accountable to achieving their dreams. Because you and I know we all have dreams, we all have goals. However, life gets in the way, and what happens to our dreams
Oh
and
yeah.
our goals? They get
We were just talking about that before we started recording the podcast.
yeah, it goes at the bottom of the list. But if
Right.
you have someone
100%.
who truly, truly cares about you and cares about your dreams, and they're there to support you in making those things happen, it's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing. And then they start to really connect in with the company itself. So
Right.
Matthew Kelly, who owns Floyd and wrote the book, The Dream Manager, talks about when people become the best version of themselves, the company will become the best version of itself. And it's really that simple. It's caring about your people, it's helping them to achieve their dreams and goals, and really showing them that you care. And then you can connect it into their purpose, right? Because people are looking for purpose, they want to know that you care. So it really solves those two things as well.
So how does that do that from the business's perspective? So do any of the dreams have to tie back to the role in the organization, or is it truly
No,
personal?
truly personal and professional. There's
Yeah.
usually, um, well, it's not always.
Yeah.
It's geared for an individual for personal dreams.
Yep.
But there's 12 different categories, and professional is one of the categories. So the way it works is you start off by having them identify, 100 dreams in 12 different categories, and then they select 4 target dreams that they want to work on with you. And then they create action plans with specific action steps. So the dream manager meets with you once a month for 12 months, where
Oh,
you're
neat.
working on those 4
Okay.
dreams.
Yep.
So there's a check-in point every month, and it's a way to celebrate success, but the whole also that accountability piece.
Right.
So you're there to really help them stay
So what
focused.
what happens after the year when you're through that program?
Yep. So there's year 2, and you can continue it on just with those. There's 2 pieces actually in the Dream Manager process that you can continue on. The reason the first year is really giving them the framework.
Hmm.
So you're teaching them how to create a strategic plan for their life.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's sort of another benefit and outcome of the program is you're
Yeah.
teaching people to be more strategic with their life. They will be more strategic at work.
Hmm.
You're teaching people to focus on action steps, small steps to gain bigger results. They will bring that same skill into the workplace.
That's awesome. Can you give some examples of how that's improved the company's bottom line, for lack of a better word? And bottom line could be anything from the culture through to innovative products and services to employee engagement to
Yeah.
growth, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they talk about this in the book. There's all kinds of stats, but I feel like one that has been a big motivator for companies is to get that best places to work status.
Oh, okay.
So that's been a big one because I've seen we have one a bank, a pretty big bank in the Midwest, that they were like ninth, or lower level. And this is all banks in the country, like their size. They've gone from 9 to 4 to 1. I
Wow,
think
that's
they're
awesome.
number 1 or number 2, I think now. And what they did was they actually had all of their regional directors get certified as a dream manager. So now it's part of their job. It's not a one person's responsibility. It's how they expect their regional directors to lead their region.
That's awesome. And especially considering how we kicked off this episode with, employee engagement and not liking what they're doing at work and going home and complaining about it, to win a best places to work is the complete opposite of that. Is
Yeah.
that you have employees that love you so much that they vote that you're the number one place to work, That's
Yes.
incredible. That's
Yep.
incredible. So
And it
it's
happened with that call center also, the one that I was just
really,
talking about that did the stay interview.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
they went from, I don't know where they were, maybe 4th or something, 6th maybe. They achieved number 1 in their category. I think it was medium-sized company, and they did it 2 years in a row.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
because they're paying attention to their culture. They're
Right,
paying attention to their people. And
right.
to your point, their brand.
Right, right, exactly,
They
exactly.
want that best places to work
Of
as
course.
a
And
symbol.
don't you want to support a company who supports their employees? I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
You know,
no doubt.
you don't want
Yeah,
it for the other reason. You don't want to support a company because you know that they're not paying their people enough. But
yeah,
sometimes you do that, but that's not the right reason.
yeah.
But if you have an
And
organization that treats your employees well and they love working there, then you're going to love the experience you're going to have doing business with them.
yeah, so, and you attract better people,
Yep.
higher quality people, you have less turnover. I mean, those are just truths, right? Those are basic truths. So when your
Yeah.
best places to work, you'll see those two big key indicators improve
Yeah.
in a big way. So it's funny how some people, you know, they can't still wrap their head around culture, because culture is everything. Culture is your soul. It's your soul of your organization, right? So it's hard
Yes.
to touch it and feel it. It's a lot of different things, but over time, that best places to work status has given people, hope that, okay, if I get this, then that'll improve all of those other key indicators.
Yes. Yes.
So it's,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yep, yep,
About people work for people. That's another thing that you used to always say.
yeah,
People work for
yeah.
people.
People don't work for companies, they work for people,
People. And that I
no
think
doubt.
super important. That is the most important element of culture.
Yeah, for sure.
Is the
And
understanding that people work for people. And
yeah,
if you're a cranky pants, you're gonna have a team of cranky pants.
no doubt.
It doesn't
And
mean you
if
can't have a bad day, but you can't be a cranky pants.
that's right, that's right. And here's the other side note, right? And if you have people like that, you need to get them out of your organization as
Yeah,
quickly as possible,
right.
because they are like a cancer and
Correct.
it will spread. It
Correct.
will spread. However, if you get more culture advocates around, they will push that person out also,
Sure.
because
Sure.
negative people can't stand to be around positive people.
True. It's like oil
But
and
it
water.
has to start at the top,
Yep.
and it has to be zero tolerance for someone who doesn't want to be there.
Right. Right. And it's funny because I know, with my business experience, I've worked in departments where there are cranky people who are not engaged and don't want to be bothered. But because the organization is interested in culture and actually implements things to listen and to change culture, it can rock their world and they then have what they need in an organization and they turn around. And I, again, to give the Hartford Kern as an example, when we did the organizational development for the customer service team, we saw representatives who checked out, only came to work, did their job and left. They changed to people who were engaged, who laughed, who brought their kids to work, who brought food for the potluck, you know, uh, went to parties on Saturdays at people's house. And it was just, it just, for, it can change people's lives at work, you know?
Absolutely. No
So,
doubt about it. No doubt
yep,
about it. And it all starts with the leader.
it all starts with the leader. Fish thinks at the head, right? So,
Yep. I don't know where I got that from. It
well,
was
it's funny. I mentioned it to somebody. I don't know who. It was somebody like 2 weeks ago. I was talking to them. And they're like, "Oh yes, that was in the bloody blah 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 blah." I'm like, "No, it's my friend Michelle." But they heard of it, so I'm like, "No, it's Michelle."
yeah, well, I was thinking this morning that would be a great title of a book,
Oh, of course. It's the
you
title of
know?
the podcast. Let's write a book.
Oh yeah, I'd rather do
Fish
a podcast.
stinks at the head. That's a brand
Yeah,
cramp. A brand cramp when the fish stinks at the head. There you go.
there you go. Perfect. I love it. I love it.
So, as we sort of wind down the episode, what are three things our listeners can take away about culture and maybe do? And then before we end, I'm sure folks are going to be interested in learning more about Dream Manager. And if you could let them know how to find out more, that would be awesome.
Sure, sure. Well, I feel like, again, the three things for sure is, if you're not um measuring your employee engagement, you really should. And if you are, make sure that you're following up with the information, and on all of the information, not just the things that need to get fixed, but all the feedback. People will respect that, and it will help you build trust within the organization. So I'd say that for sure. Employee engagement, some type of survey, know what your people are thinking, know what they want. The second, this notion of a stay interview has fascinated me. I got this from one of my clients did it, and I've been mentioning this to all my other clients. I think that's a great way to also see what you're doing right. See
Yeah.
what's going well, and then what's the next step.
Which is generally the opposite of what folks focus on when they're doing an assessment. They're looking for what's going wrong. And
That's
they
right.
don't look for what's going right. And I have to tell you, as a sole proprietor, I work by myself most of the time. I'm going to do a stay interview for myself.
Oh, there you go.
I am, because think about
Yeah.
it. You can apply that concept. What is working? What brings you joy? What makes you feel happy? What do you want more of? And you can just take it from there. And I'd rather focus my energy on what I want more of than what I don't want, because I think if I focus on what I want more of, I'm going to get more of it.
Yes, no
You know what I
doubt.
mean?
No
So,
doubt.
yes.
No doubt. And just,
Yep.
I'll leave the third thing is just really how important your people are in your organization to your brand. It's,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it. And if you grow your people, you will grow your business.
100%. Amen, sister.
That's it. It's simple.
Amen,
That's what I
sister.
said at the beginning.
Yes.
It's really simple. It's
Yep.
such a simple concept that people have a hard time wrapping their head around it.
Correct. And, again, going back to how we began the episode, employers and companies with, 2 or more employees really need to think about what happens when that employee goes home, and who are they talking to and what are they saying? Because honestly, they are the feet on the street, and they are your front line to your brand. And if they're
Absolutely.
sitting at a barbecue in a community center talking about your company, you're going to want them saying good things about it,
Yeah, no
So,
doubt. No
yes,
doubt. And
100%.
so, yeah, just being more intentional about the culture that you created and what you want it to be.
Yes. Amen, sister.
So,
So how can our listeners find out more about Floyd Consulting and Dream Manager?
sure. So you can go to floydconsulting.com, which has all of our programs there. But you can also, if you're just interested in the Dream Manager, it's thedreammanager.com. And if you inquire on any of our sites, you'll talk to me because I handle all the inquiries for all of our programs.
Excellent. And if you go to brandkramp.com in this episode, you'll find Michelle's LinkedIn profile and other information that can help you get to Floyd Consulting and to Michelle.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
And
Aileen.
we did it. We got it done. Woohoo!
Yeah, that was fun. That was
All
fun.
right. Yeah, thank you so much. Till next time, sister.
Okay, sounds
All right.
good.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.